So hey guys, so I recently joined the Code Jam 2021. I did very badly, but luckily I was able to pass the qualification round. So I thought I'll go back and you know practice on the various problems throughout the years. So when I went to the archives, I saw that Code Jam was apparently started in 2008. If you go to the archive, it goes as far back as 2008. So I went in. I went to the qualification round, the first round, and I saw this was the easiest problem, saving the units. So I opened that up. I tried it 21 times, and then finally I was able to submit. So I was getting the solution was right. Only thing was, I was having a timeout error, and well, basically that was my own fault. I was doing something really stupid. I was recreating a vector, which was unnecessary. So yeah, let's dive into the solutions. So yeah, so this is everyone. I just I was using C sharp till about 2 days ago, but I saw that C plus plus is better for coding. I mean competitions. So I went ahead and learned C plus plus in a short while. So forgive me if my code is a bit, you know, it's probably a beginner's code. This is where, so let's look at this problem first. Sorry. Right. So basically, they say, if you search Google on the Google homepage, the universe will implode, blah, blah, blah. It's called the solution, the problem is called saving the universe. So basically, what asks us to do is, since, I guess you can already guess, Google should not be searched on the Google homepage. So Google should be searched on Yahoo or Bing, or, whatever. So the input first we're gonna get n, which is the test cases, number of test cases. So I take the input n, right? We're gonna what see and ignore. Well, see and ignore is something you're gonna need when you're using getLine. So getLine is what allows us to take a string with the spaces. Otherwise, if we don't use getLine, we won't be able to take a string in with spaces. And if you don't use see and ignore when you're using see in and getLine together, you're going to run into a lot of trouble in the inputs. So then we have n, the number of test cases, and then I get t1 number of it's going to iterate n number of times, and I'm calling solve t. Now solve is where basically the main heart or engine of the program, you can call it. So what is solve gonna do? So see, each case will start with the number s. That's the number of search engines, basically the size of the array or vector, whatever you're going to use. And it's also, and then the next s lines will contain the names of the various search engines. So one sec. Basically, see, it says this number of test cases. Fine. These five are the various search engines that are on that planet or whatever you want to call it. Then, yeah, each search engine name is no more than 100 characters long and contains only uppercase, lowercase, spaces, and numbers. This is all actually redundant data. You don't really need it to solve the problem. There will not be two search engines with the same name. This is another, it's obvious. They don't need to really say it. Okay. And the next line is q. So the q is going to be another integer. Just gives the number of incoming queries, so the size of the array where you're going to store the queries. So we have q. So you take an s, you do the ignore, you create a vector string for the engine names and the queries. You take in all the engine names first, then you take in the next line q, which is the size of the queries, and again you take in okay, so I give q greater than 0 because q can be 0. So if q is 0, you're just going to directly go ahead and output this. No, zero. So in the case q is not zero, we take in all the queries and we store it into the queries vector, and we take the respective length search query, and then I have a variable called unique. So this is actually a very important variable in the logic flow. So what does unique do? Unique is going to tell me that if there is a search, let's say there are five search engines, and in the queries there's going to be one of these search engine names is not going to exist. So before that, all the queries are going to be the search engine names. There are not going to be any random queries in there. It's all going to be a search engine name that exists from the search engine names. Yeah, in the vector. So nothing that's not in this vector will come here. It'll never come there. So uh, where was I? Yeah. So what unique is going to do is, what is unique? So in this, I'm going to check if you know is there any such search engine name that does not exist in the query. If it does not exist, I'm going to return the position of that engine name. That is, so hey, listen, this name does not exist in the query, so we can use this search engine to search all the queries. So we do not really need any switches. So what is required from us for the output is how many times will we have to switch between the search engine, so that the universe does not implode. Yeah. So yeah, all we're gonna say is okay. Case number one, two, whatever. Yeah, I'm gonna have to switch, two times so that the universe does not implode. Four or zero. So when there is a unique, when unique returns some kind of a position of an engine, that means this engine name does not exist in the queries, and you know, unique is going to be the position. So it's definitely not going to be -1, which is the uh, other. If this thing returns -1, it means that all the names exist, and that's not really. There's nothing unique in the queries. All the search engine names exist in queries. And if it doesn't return -1, it means yeah, there is something unique, and you can just directly go ahead and output zero. Now, what happens when it's not unique, right? So I'm calling, I think, distinct. Yeah. So we're going ahead into distinct. Now I'm return pause. This is what I'm going to be returning in the end. So if I return -1, that means there's nothing unique. And position dot clear. Now this is where things get interesting. Here I have a vector int of position. So what it's going to do is it's going to store all the first occurrences. So if Yahoo exists in the search engines, it's going to store the first occurrence of Yahoo in queries. First in queries. So it's going to store that position in this vector position. So it's going to give us first occurrence of Yahoo inquiries. Then what's gonna happen is I'm going to be returning. Exact. Yeah, sorry, I had to take a break. So um, where were we? Yeah, pause -1. So it's going to store that value in position. Now, in case there are no distinct, but if there is any distinct value where one of the search engines do not exist in queries, we're going to be returning another value for pause, and we already discussed what happens then. So what it's going to do is it's going to be we have two for loops. It's going to be iterating. The first one will iterate through the search engine names. I'm going to take in the name and I'm going to store a count variable. Initialize a count variable and yeah. So next for loop is going to iterate to the queries and every time you hit the query, count the first. So if count is zero, that means it's the first occurrence, right? Because we haven't encountered this query before. What it's going to do is actually, you know what? I think I just found a way to make this better because once I have the first iteration, I don't really need count. Why do I need to find out the other query positions of that query? I don't. Just need to find the first. I take this out. It's gonna break out of this for loop. Yeah, so I just checked if that works, and yeah, it does work. And so, basically, I was still going and searching or for all the other positions of that search engine name, but you don't really need to once you get the first occurrence. So then I return. So all the positions are stored in this vector, and we return false whatever the value is. Next is so what happens once we decide we don't have any unique cases and we need to check how many switches we're going to be making. So on a switch valve, this is going to give me the number of switches or the output of what we have to output, how many times we're going to switch between the search engine. And I'm calling the switching. So I'm going to be passing in these parameters. It's nothing. It's just the engine names, the query names, the lengths of each vector. Now we go into switching and let us find out what's happening in switching. First off, I'm going to declare the variable switch changes, which is going to be number of switches that we return at the end. Then I'm going to have a max variable, a position variable, and a position length variable. So what is position length? Remember the position vector that we hold outside is going to be storing all the positions, the first occurrences of the respective search engine names. Yeah, that's the guy. Now I'm going to find what's interesting in this code is the search engine names have no, have zero importance after you find out if there is a unique occurrence or not. I mean, okay, scratch that. It's not that there's no importance. All you need it for is just this one line of code in here for finding if that's it. You don't need the name anywhere else. Anyway, so I'm gonna set a bool again value. First, I'm gonna find the max in this position, the highest value in position. The highest position. So that's going to be the furthest down, like the first occurrence of a search engine name, which is the furthest down in the vector. So, for let's say you have 200 queries and Google search name shows up only on the 150th query. So for the first 149 queries, you can use Google. So I'm going to so max is automatically going to be 150, right? Now, since this is just a while loop for running a loop. So well, again, it's true. I go in, I take position as max, and then how do I say this? I assign the value of max again by calling distinct again. So what I'm doing here is I'm sending in the position. So where is it? You see this int k? I think I didn't show it before. So here I'm gonna give when I send it the first time I'm sending zero because I want all the queries. So what it does is see J is going to be starting from K. So for the first iteration is going to be from 0, but when we start calling it and switching, it's going to be from the position length. So if Google was at 150, now it's going to start from 150 and it's going to look for the next unique value or all the first occurrences of the next value. So it's going to return, and if it's minus 1, that means there is a unique, again, there's a unique name, and we can just switch change return 1, or we just increment the value, and then what we do is we go ahead and we find the next new max position value. The loop iterates again until it hits this position and becomes false, and we return the number of switches. That's it. So it comes here, we see out the number of switches, and then again the same thing is going to happen for the next test case. So that's it. I found after I when I was hitting the time limit errors, I checked some solutions online. I thought there was something wrong with the code, but there wasn't. My actually solutions I found were actually very large and did a lot of unnecessary coding. This mine, you can see, gets sold in just 104 lines of code. So I thought I'll just make a YouTube video on how to solve this particular problem. Particular, damn it. Okay. Yeah. So why was I getting the time out error? It's because in the switching, each time instead of passing in this position value, I was creating I was creating another vector that hold would hold all queries from value of max, and I would send in that vector, you know instead of queries. So instead of queries, I would send in that. So it was unnecessarily creating whole new vector and spend a lot of time doing that. Which I was just I thought about this before doing that, but I just don't want to go back and change all this code. I don't know. Like I said, I'm pretty new to coding competitions where I have to look at time limits. And frankly, what I was doing wasn't optimal. I just wanted to see if I could get the solution that way. But apparently, they want the best solution and nothing else works. So I had to change it. But you know what? It's working now. And I'm pretty surprised at how quickly I was able to pick up on C++ as well. It's a very easy language. Anyone who's coding or looking into coding competition should start on C++. Just look at a couple of solutions by other people and you'll understand how C++ works. That's the best way. Code review, I guess you could call it. So, just gonna run it once more. Go in here. In here, I had seen a test case. Second, yeah, this is the one. I found a test case that someone had made with around 6,022 lines, 23 lines. So let's just try this. Test run mode. I think it's 20 test cases. Let's see how fast it goes. Test number 22 took a lot of tries to reach there. You see, I was getting the output, like I said, but on submitting the attempt, I got a timeout error, which was because of the extra vector that I was unnecessarily creating throughout. See, it's already done. Look at that. This is the output. This is the way the output should look. Now we just turn it off and submit the attempt. And we get, I guess, 5 points and 20 points each. This is a pretty interesting problem where it shows you that, you know, a lot of unnecessary things are going to be given to you during these competitions. You just need to know which one to use. Because I recently saw another. Why do I say this? Is because in the 2021 uh, problem, there was this problem, yeah, cheating detection. See, yeah. So it's going to be giving us this value p. That it says that you need to pass p% of the test cases to succeed. To get the green tick mark, to get the right answer. But basically, you don't need that. I'll show it to you. There's my. Okay. Sorry. So if you see this, it's not really using. But I think I have it here. Show it to you in this solution. See, you've taken the value of p, but you never really use it. You don't need to. So that's it. So just showing you the how we taken P but we never use it. So understand the problem and then try to solve it. Okay, see you in the next video.